for whatever reason, I don't like our brand, let's rebrand. How much time is this going to take?
Sometimes it's extremely complicated. You need to understand the cost of rebranding and making sure that you're calculating that correctly, because
This is going to take forever. You know what? Billions is possible.
what am I doing wrong when Kylie Jenner is making more money than me? Welcome to the Josh and Eric Show. I'm Eric.
Josh and Eric Show.
Yeah.
It's called Chasing Millions, you idiot.
Oh, that's right. We did change it, didn't we?
Exactly. We changed it a couple days ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm just messing. So, guys, we're doing a rebranding, which is what this episode is going to be about, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Why? Why did we rebrand?
Well, the Josh and Eric Show, however, it does have a very cool ring to it. It just doesn't protrude what we are doing and what goals in life that we have, right? So we took a lot of time thinking about it, and we knew pretty quickly, I would say, that Josh and Eric Show wasn't going to end up being the name of what we were going to keep. We just didn't know the direction of, or we just did not know the right name that resonated. And we spent some time thinking about it and throwing ideas through our marketing guy and from our friends and family and partners and just anybody we could think of on some cool names related to what we are wanting to do with this podcast. So that's how we kind of landed on Chasing Millions, because that's what we're doing, baby.
That's what we do every day.
We're chasing millions.
Sometimes it's pennies.
Sometimes it's pennies. Sometimes it's
Lately, I
dollars.
feel like he's chasing pennies.
Well, you say that, and then we have a meeting like we did today, and it really is starting to validate the effort that I've given and that you've given and that some of our partners around here have given. And, the attainable is unlimited. It's just your own ability to be able to process that and make that choice to believe in your systems and to take that next step, right, to your goals and what you want to do.
Well, sometimes you know what your company's worth, but you need somebody that's smarter than you to validate that.
Yeah, and we did that.
Today was that's what happened today, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, we changed our name because day in and day out, we have people on the podcast. They're trying to do the same thing. They're chasing millions, right? They own mortgage companies and restaurants and all different types of industries that they're trying to chase these millions in. And ours is service companies mainly, with a little bit of real estate on your side. Yep. But at the end of the day, chasing millions is a lot more catchy, right? Josh and Eric's show is kind of boring. You know what I mean? We're still Josh and Eric, but at the end of the day, we're chasing millions, and that's what we do every day. That's why we show up early, we stay late. We were kind of being a little humble. We're like, man, that sounds too
egotistical.
Yes,
or something.
But we're not that way. We're chasing millions. We wake up in the morning. We're money driven. We're systems driven. We love the challenge of it. And if you're chasing millions, there's going to be a lot of challenges that come with that, right? And it doesn't matter how you're chasing those millions, but
yeah, whatever avenue you're in, if you're chasing it, to the extent we are, then you're feeling it. And you understand exactly
rebranding. Let's talk about that real quick. So I have owned a lot of different companies, and some of these companies I have rebranded. Luckily for us, this company, Chasing Millions now, is fairly new. We don't have a lot of equipment. We don't have a lot of apparel, etc.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of hard to make a apparel line with Josh and Eric Show.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Nobody wants a white guy with a receding hairline on their shirt.
I don't think you're going to buy a shirt that says Josh and Eric Show on it. Let's just be realistic. So.
But, some of the companies I've rebranded in the past, man, you have equipment or signs or business cards or notepads or hats, whatever, pens, whatever it may be, your signature on your email, all that stuff. Logos on your trucks, right?
Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
You're talking about significant dollars to rebrand your company, especially if it's a decent size.
Oh, for sure. So that'll lead into that in just a second. So back to the basics of it, is there some basic reasons why you have to rebrand, right? In our particular instance, in this, it was for marketing. We rebranded for the marketing piece of it, right? For instances like if you bought out a company and you had to rebrand that company's assets, right? Is a different reason for rebranding. You have to do it at that point, right? To keep the brand name alive. You don't want to run, 5 different company names all under one, in my opinion.
No, it's
right?
not smart.
So there's lots of different reasons for rebranding, right? And specifically why this is a hot topic is, we're going to potentially go on some ventures, right, where that could be a hefty expense.
Oh, it's crazy expensive. You see people, especially in the private equity, the family office money where they're acquiring companies and consolidating market share, right? You're talking about, that's one thing you have to put in your line item.
For sure.
The expense to rebrand all their equipment. Take stickers off, the labor costs, the material costs.
Let's give them a real life example. So we have a service business that's got dumpsters, right? And I'll talk specifically dumpsters. So all of our dumpsters in our brand is a red, right? And they've got stickers on both sides that has the company name, logo, phone number. And then you'll have serial number stickers, right? It could be a QR code. We have QR codes. Not everybody uses QR codes. So that's a sticker. Then you have the Rent Me sticker, right? And then you could have a recycle sticker, or recycle metal only, or whatever, right? But just a standard dumpster stickering, right, is about $500 for both sides. Okay, roughly $300 to $500. And then you have to paint. The paint's for sure $500, but because you got to sand it down, right? You got to sandblast it. You got to repaint it. Then you got to re-sticker it. So just a singular dumpster is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1,000 per dumpster.
Yeah.
So we could go out, or anybody could go out, and if you bought a dumpster company that say had 800 dumpsters, which is not unrealistic. We have probably close to that, right? So if we bought another company our size, just to rebrand the dumpsters alone would be about $800,000.
That's correct.
Right? So then you have that complication, right? Of that's real dollars to rebrand that.
Well, then you got logistics. You got to rebrand them as they come off rent.
That's the other piece, right?
It's a lot of work.
It's
so
if
you guys ever really think about, you're in acquisition mode, or you're in the transition of like, hey, I don't like our brand, let's rebrand, right? For whatever reason, there's some things that you need to take in consideration. Time, right? How much time is this going to take?
Yeah, and if we were talking about dumpsters, like he said, those dumpsters, they can't get painted on site on the job site.
Yeah.
So now you got to wait till that thing's off the job site.
Capital.
Then you have capital.
How long do I have the capital to do this?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you budget for it? Do you have the capital?
Color scheme. Am I rebranding it with the right colors?
Yeah. Is your logo correct in the first place? Is it catchy enough? Right.
There's what happens if you have logos like you do that are in multiple areas that have different area codes?
Yeah. Are you running a 800 number and have to rebrand everything? Right. Every piece of asset.
Then you got employees.
Yeah.
Everybody's walking around with an on-call shirt or OFS shirt. You got
apparel.
Right here's a perfect example.
Yeah.
You got apparel. How much does a shirt cost now? Anywhere from $40-$50 for a good colored shirt. Just employees in general, just giving them all their updated apparel and stuff. Pens and papers and marketing handouts.
Yeah. And
you're talking about a crazy, don't just try to say, hey, I don't like this logo, let me rebrand it.
Yeah.
Think it through, folks. Put some numbers to it. Be realistic with yourself. It's not going to be an easy task. It might be worth it in your case. We thought it was worth it with the Josh and Eric show to rebrand it Chasing Millions. To be honest with you, it wasn't even our idea.
No, I know.
It was our marketing guy's idea. He came up with the idea. Chasing Millions.
Yeah.
I think you wanted money motivated.
Money mindset.
Which we are that too.
Yeah. It was all kind of right in that wheelhouse. But, rebranding is very important, and it happens a lot, right? And I want people to understand that, sometimes it's as simple as what we just did here. We rebranded a podcast name that was relatively inexpensive. We paid somebody to make a logo, or he made a logo, right?
Well, we're still going through the logos right now.
And
I think Alex just put a temporary logo on there. So if you do see our logo and you don't like it, or you make logos, how about this? Comment below or send Alex a PM and let's see what you got. We're not afraid to pay you for a really cool logo.
Heck yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, so if you have some creativity to you, come up with something cool, send it over to us. It might be our logo that we run with.
That'd be a cool claim to fame.
Yeah, one of our watchers send us a logo.
Yeah.
Subscribers. We won't accept your logo though unless you subscribe.
That's true. We'll double check too, or Alex will. So, like I said, rebranding is pretty important, right? And sometimes it's simple and easy, like the podcast, right? Easy as it could be, right? And then sometimes it's extremely complicated. And I want people to understand your situation, right? If you're in acquisition mode and you're going out and buying companies and you have this one main brand and you want that brand to be in every household name, or every city, like a Republic or a Waste Management or whatever, right?
It doesn't matter what it
doesn't matter, but you need to understand the cost of rebranding and making sure that you're calculating that correctly. Because if you're in any way in the same realm as us and you're dealing with a lot of assets, right? And you're having a purchase of thousands of assets, whether it be toilets or fencing or dumpsters or whatever.
It could be hotels.
It could be hotel. It could be
I
anything.
see people take signs off buildings all the time, and then you still see where it says, like, it's an old Hampton building, and it says Hampton because they didn't repaint it, right? They just rebranded it, and it's like you can see the old brand on it. That looks tacky.
Exactly.
So if you're like us or like me, I'm a nitpick guy, so I'm like, you can't just rip a sticker off something and it's been sun-baked for 5 years. You're going to see the old logo on that sucker, And that's not a good way to rebrand.
No, and that's why it's so important that you're calculating all these costs and that you're not pinching pennies and you're doing it the right way and don't cut any corners, because if you're going to spend that kind of money and you're going to rebrand and have this grand idea, that you need to follow through with every little piece of it. Make sure you're not missing anything and make sure that it is legitimate, right? Like you just said, you don't want to rebrand something and be half-assed, because then you just wasted the money that you did spend.
Well, there's also some psychology to it too. Color schemes, simplicity, coming up with some type of logo that is like Target, the circle, right? Walmart's it's just Walmart. And you know that we're going to have gray and blue buildings, right? So one thing to take and consider, don't be afraid to hire somebody that understands all that goes into it. A lot of billboards use yellow because it attracts your eye. Mm-hmm. Red and yellow. Ours is red, right? So don't just go into this by yourself. Ask around, get other people's opinion. Yeah. I had my first logo was a guy that my sign guy made it, and it was actually a Target because my company was called Aim to Please, right? And it was a guy standing up and peeing into a bullseye. And I had all these toilets with this guy peeing into a bullseye. It's the most white trash thing you've ever seen in your life. But I ran that for a while, and then guess what? I was like, hey, you know what? I got to get a little bit more trashy, or a little bit less trashy. So then I was like, Aim to Please. So I said ATP. Right?
This has a little bit better sound.
Yeah, ATP. So I had to redo all. Well, then I was like, okay, I'm going to go out there and be cheap, and I'm going to go rip all these stickers off myself. Well, I bought cheap stickers, and they were coming off in little crumbles. Oh. And I looked down the line. I had like 400 or 500 of these at the time that I had to rebrand. I was like, this is going to take forever. You have a whole entire crew right now power washing stickers off of porta potties and other assets.
Yeah, I'm dealing with it right now, and rebranding, especially when you have a lot of assets, it is a difficult task in itself, right? But not just the difficulty of completing the task, the money is required, and like you said, the science really behind it.
There is science.
There's science behind it, and I'm not saying that we're some kind of scientific geniuses, because I are not that, but we are intelligent enough to understand that there is some rhyme and reason to the color schemes and the fonts that you use and this, that, and the other, right? And then where we know that we don't have that expertise, then we call upon the people that we have around us that do. And if we don't, then we pay for somebody who does.
Right? And you don't have to pay a lot of money. There's a lot of people that can give you some pretty good advice. And we always say be willing to change, right? Sometimes you go in there and you think it's a great idea because it's your idea or whomever's idea, and it's a great idea, and you had to be humble enough to be like, you know what, Josh and Eric's show, we need to rebrand this, and it's going to be Chasing Millions. And you know what? That wasn't even our idea. I think that was Chasing Millions. So, kind of give you a cool insight. I guess we did a podcast and we were talking about money and talking about what motivates us. And I said, I'm money motivated.
That's where it started, I think.
And Alex walked down the hall and was like, hey, I got us an idea. And he came up with this idea and said something about money. And then he's like, I'm going to text it to you guys. It's not on my tongue. And he sent it that night. And I think it said Chasing Millions. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. That's my passion.
Yeah.
I like to put systems together and build companies because I'm chasing the dollar. I like the challenge. And my grading card, like I said that day, is my bank account and my asset net worth is how good I am. How many assets can I manage? How big can I build these things? And you say it all the time. It takes systems. It takes people. It takes trust. It takes loyalty. It takes all this stuff, right? Yeah. To build that net worth. But at the end of the day, if you want to simplify it, we're chasing the dollar.
That's exactly what we're doing. And we're having a fun time doing it, and at this point we're chasing the dollar, but for me, and I don't know if this is the same for you, is it's like a game for us. And for me it is, right? It's you want to be the best at whatever you're doing, right? And ours just happens to be business chasing the dollar. And at this point, yes, we're chasing the dollar, and that's what we're doing, right? In the grand scheme of things.
You know what a guy said told us yesterday when we were playing golf with a private equity group? You know what he said?
What?
He was like, Chasing Millions, why don't you name it Chasing Billions? That goes back to another point that made me think when I was riding that golf cart yesterday. I was like, you know what? Billions is possible.
Oh, yeah. Like we
might be rebranding one more time.
Yeah. Bear with us as we figure this out, right? I think that's the most important.
If we're chasing millions, why can't we go to billions?
Well, I mean, the reality is that
if Kylie Jenner can do it, surely we can.
Well, you would think so. And I think what's his name said that as well too. It kind of gave him a realization. What's the guy's name? He's a real buff dude with a beard. Layla is his wife.
Alex Mosey?
Alex Ramosi. He talks about that all the time, right? He's like, what am I beating his head against the wall? Yeah. What am I doing wrong when Kylie Jenner is making more money than me, right?
Yeah, they know how to brand themselves better than
and he had an epiphany about branding himself, and that's what she did, right? And kudos to her. She's done a fantastic job, obviously.
Yeah.
But back to this in branding in general is so uber important. So, taking your time with it.
But be careful with your brand. Because like Eric's brand is called On Call. So we've had multiple people over the years say, we'll take the night we do on night calls. They're like, yeah, your name's On Call, dude.
Yeah.
Be careful with what you ask for. When you discuss your branding and your name.
Well, if you name it Billy the Snake Wrangler, you better be wrangling snakes. You know what I'm saying?
Freaking idiots.
You get what I'm saying, though. You feel what I'm stepping in?
Hey,
I can't be on call services, right? And I only work when I want to.
Yeah, you work from 8 to 5.
Yeah, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
On call 8 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, who won yesterday at golf?
Shut up, man. My golf game.
If you're a golfer, Eric just never wins.
I do win, but I did not yesterday, and it was so ugly. And Josh was like, "Man, I haven't seen you play that bad." And
it's kind of embarrassing.
So long. And then I was sitting there thinking to myself of how much I'm going to have to hear this shit for the next, I don't know.
I don't think I'll play golf for the rest of the year.
I wouldn't either if I were you, because you got the claim to fame right now.
I've been smoking it. So, go back to this branding for Chasing Millions.
Yeah.
I really, truly think this show, we're going to make millions of dollars off this show. We're at 17,000 something subscribers to kind of give you guys an update. Some of our other social media platforms, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, we haven't quite figured that formula out yet. We're not one of those guys that are going to send out daily, videotape ourselves daily. We just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Right? So we're more long form content, making some shorts out of it.
Schedule it, sit down, have a plan.
I think we have to be a little bit more exciting because we're kind of just monotone, boring business guys that are just going through the grind every day. And I think that, off camera, we're always getting excited.
Oh yeah.
And then we come on here and we try to act professional.
I know
we
it's
walk
weird.
around the office, we're screaming, we're
high-fiving,
cussing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's do this. And then you come on the camera and we're like trying to be proper.
And today
we're trying to be more proper than what we are. You know?
Probably so, yeah.
Because when you're chasing millions, you can have fun too.
When we do, I think that's very important. Is that you got to have fun in it, whatever it is you're doing. Whatever you're doing for work, if you're not excited to wake up in the morning, we talked about that yesterday too. Is that you have to be doing something, whatever it is that you're driven to want to do and be the best at. Because when you wake up in the morning, that you're motivated, internally motivated to do something, right? And if you don't have that when you wake up in the morning, then you're probably not going to get to where you want to go.
Let's talk about something funny real quick. Because we went out to a really nice restaurant with these potential partners, correct?
Yeah.
And when we got done, we have some leftovers, and these guys are not from around here, and they had to take a flight today out. And they're like, we don't want the leftovers. My redneck bum's like, yeah, I'll take that steak. Yeah, I'll take the potatoes.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not taking that on the jet home. I was like, well, fair enough.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
so I was like, back that up. So we're out. We walk outside the restaurant last night, and I had this bag full of steak and Brussels sprouts and potatoes. I was like, I'm going to get lucky. I'm going to get lucky tonight. I'm going to give this to my wife, Really good high-end restaurant. And this lady walks up to us. She's homeless. She was on something, right? Don't do drugs, folks. No. She had no teeth. And I gave her a steak. Eric was like, that night I was talking to him on the way home. He's like, hey, man, you know that steak you gave that lady? I was like, yeah. He's like, how do you think she's going to chew it?
She had like 14 in her head,
I was like, I don't know, dude. That's a good point.
Yeah.
She probably just couldn't swallow a whole.
Struggle bus.
She was like, I need food. And I gave her food. She didn't even take a bite. She went to the next table and asked for money.
It's sad to see, the homeless people like that. And, I have a heart just like you do.
Hey, there's a homeless guy in Tulsa that is pretty famous.
We talked about this too. Was it you that was talking about it?
I think it was Patrick. He follows a guy in Tulsa that they go around and videotape this guy. And he's pretty famous on TikTok. Mm-hmm. 17,000 followers is not something to be shy about. You know what I mean? I'm starting to look at some other people I'm watching. They have like 10, 12, 14, 15, and we're getting about 1,000 subscribers a week.
Yeah.
Is that right, Alex? So if you just stay and, put the effort in and be willing to go through the grind, and you just have to know it's going to be a long haul, and it just hasn't happened for everybody overnight.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
hey, if you're tuned in, though, give us some things to talk about.
Yeah, we've been going at it now since November?
I would say November for sure to January. I would say January is when we started really kind of like, hey, okay, if we're going to do this, let's take this serious. Let's get the right equipment.
Yeah.
We had, a guy that helped us get us where we are to a certain point, and then Alex comes along, and it's a lot more professional atmosphere, but.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, every week we're going to come on here and talk about something that hopefully is going to help you guys. And this week, the rebranding really hit home for me because we're potentially going to be looking at the direct cost, and you start thinking about it, you're like, holy crap, right? And what all is included in that, and what all has to be thought through, and how many dollars has to be allocated. You really start putting some numbers to it. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah,
right?
They're meaningful.
They're meaningful numbers. So anytime you're dealing with meaningful numbers, right, there's a very big opportunity there for issues.
And
right?
if you're buying companies, like we're about to start making a lot of acquisitions potentially, right? If you're buying companies, technically, you got to factor that in to how that's going to affect that acquisition, right?
Well, yeah.
And unfortunately, that can make the break the deal, or the company you're purchasing, the seller is going to have to be willing to share some of that cost.
Well, for sure,
because you got a preferred rate on your money, and that's going to dig into it.
Yeah, you have to either back that out or work into it, right? And you have to, if you're having to work into it and you're having to spend, like what we were just saying, say $800,000 on just the dumpsters, right? You still have to be able to meet, when you're dealing with private equity people, you still have to meet their preferred rate of return.
They're sharks.
Knowing that you're going to be spending $800,000 out the rip, right?
Right off the gate.
So there's a lot to it, guys. I hope this little bit of information as far as rebranding is concerned will help somebody out there. That's going through it, kind of like we're going through it right now, or I am on one of the companies we just bought, and then trying to potentially do it on a little larger scale and really getting the sheer amount of volume and effort in dollars that it takes, if you're doing it on a higher level.
Hey, think about this: all your rental contracts. If you have to rebrand, you got to change all your rental
I didn't
contracts.
think about that.
Yeah, your trademarks.
Yeah.
You know.
See, I mean, we're sitting here talking about things that, you know, potentially we haven't calculated yet, that we're going to have to go back and look at and calculate those things. So
hire an attorney to trademark
you know,
it.
and I think this is an important lesson that you're sitting here seeing, is that, you know, every decision that we make, we sit around and by all means, we're not to that point to where we're rebranding on a mass scale right at this second, but we're going to sit around and we're going to have these kind of deals, maybe not in front of a camera, but we're going to be poking holes through these plans, right? And you're going to say something like you just did, and don't forget the contract. Well, that's going to equivalent to time that's going to take,
exactly.
right? If somebody to go in there, look at all those contracts, send them all out for to get redone with the rebranded name, right? And they could potentially come back and change your pricing on your whatever, right? There's a million potentials, but I think it's an important lesson to know that, you know, anytime you're stepping into something is take your time, right? Think it through. If you have good partners, or if you have acquaintances that are in the industries, then make sure that you're exhausting all your options and ensuring that you don't leave any stone unturned. Because when you leave those stones unturned, that's where you get yourselves in a pickle. And sometimes you're not going to be able to get yourself out of it if it's a big enough pickle.
And if you really don't know anything and you really don't have any money, just go to ChatGPT, type in rebranding. I guarantee that sucker will throw out some ideas. I guarantee
it's an amazing tool. If you're not using ChatGPT, you're screwing up. So,
hey, if you're watching this, you obviously have watched a few of our episodes, hopefully. And if not, go back through. You know we're in the dumpster business, in the portable restroom, the fencing game, and the shipping container game, right? We are about to go into full expansion mode. So if you want to be on the A team and you're ready to exit your company, you're a baby boomer and you built a great business and you want a fair price for your company, reach out to Alex, reach out to one of us, Josh or Eric, and reach out to us and say, hey, I'd be interested.
Looking to sell.
Yeah. There's not really anywhere besides California, New York, and New Jersey we don't want to go. Yeah. The rest of the places we'll go.
Fair enough.
Right? Yep. Maybe Chicago.
Yeah, not right now. We got other places first.
But anywhere else, we'd be interested in acquiring.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, if you are selling your business, send Alex a message. Let us know kind of some parameters of what we're dealing with here. You know, are we dealing with, 20 toilets? Are we dealing with 500, 5,000 dumpsters? What is it, right? Give us a little bit of a scoop of what's going on, because we do have some parameters we have to meet too, as far as it has to be, I think, $1 million EBITDA or somewhere right around there.
We haven't really set those exact full parameters. Just reach out to us and let's start the conversation.
Yep.
We'd love to meet you. We'd love to see what you got, see what kind of great company you built. And if it's not the right timing and but you want to start the conversation, that's great too.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we're doing right now.
That's right. And lastly, before we get off here, we have some pretty cool guests coming on. Next week, I believe we have Matt Merrill coming on. And then the week after that, hopefully we have the Andolini's guy, the owner of Andolini's Pizza, also does some
Which I love their pizza.
They're fantastic. They're a huge brand here where we're at. And they've won a lot of awards for some of the best pizza. So fantastic guy from what we understand. And
hey, isn't it funny how things come full circle? So we go out and we see Dropout Multimillionaire. We start talking about kind of our vision. He's like, hey, I know this guy. Yeah. And like, a month and a half later, they fly out here on this private jet, and we potentially maybe could be doing a business deal together.
I mean, it is interesting to think about, and we were talking about the full circle of everything, too, and how much money that we've spent to get to this point just doing this, right, and not seeing any true cash value coming back to us.
Oh, we're not making any money, folks.
No, we're not making no money doing this.
We're paying. We're paying to do this, but we're really just having fun with it, and hopefully we have some listeners that are getting some. We're making people think. At the end of the day, that's what we want people to do. We want them to say, hey, I remember seeing this Chasing Millions podcast, and these guys talked about branding. Yeah. Talked about this.
And if we can, and that's why we're doing this. So, because we've taken these steps and we've made some of these mistakes, right?
A lot of mistakes.
And some of these things that we are going through and talking about at the same time. So, our point of this is to put good information out that we know that we've tried and trusted and true, or just information in general that we're going through. So you get some real life experiences. But all of that, as to be said, is really to help people become entrepreneurs or better entrepreneurs, because that's what we fight for, right? Is, capitalism is where it's at. And, being an entrepreneur is not easy. So if we can help in any way, that's what we're going to do. So that's what we decided,
And if you're an entrepreneur, go for it. Don't limit yourself from small thinking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that make a lot of money. So go for it. Do bigger, set your goals way higher than you think is maybe even possible in your mindset. Think huge, think big.
Yeah.
Today, Eric, I saw the light bulb show off in your face. You're like, holy crap. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars here. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking, I saw it hit in your light bulb sitting right here in this chair. And you're like, that is possible.
Oh, it's extremely feasible.
And sometimes you say these numbers in your head and you're like, oh, man,
I'd say
that only rich people do that. Only people who see on TV mess with those kind of numbers. That will never be me.
Yeah.
But it really is never going to be you because, to be honest with you, you and I have never thought that big.
I agree.
Until now and just till recently. Now we're thinking way bigger. Not because of our success, right? Not because we think we're just way better than anybody else. It's because we had to reprogram our mind growing up in both of us fairly small towns and growing up from a humble beginning that, hey, you know what? Two rednecks can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
We can set our goals really high and go and shoot for the moon. Why not?
I mean, that's
why wouldn't we?
Why not? Right? Is it? Well, what's the risk? Right? Yeah. I mean, I could.
We're already risking everything.
That's what I'm saying. What's the risk?
What we're finding out is there's less risk. The bigger you get,
the less risk that there is, and that's a fact.
And that's just crazy because people don't want to trust people. They don't want to take these risks. They don't want to put themselves out there. But at the end of the day, they have the most risk at all.
Yeah.
They have the most risk of all.
Yeah.
So the bigger you get, the more diversified you get. You can still go down. Big companies go down all the time, but the chances of that happening, because you usually can hire really smart people around you, right? And you have more leverage on capital and banks, and you take the PGs off. And
and I hate to quote people. I'm not a quote guy, but Alex Ramosi said another thing too that kind of stuck with me about. He likes to go after the things that are extremely hard. Like when you're going from, you say, we do X amount of dollars, and he's talking about doing, 100X over what we're talking about, right? Is that he likes to go after those kind of things. And that's what I've been training my mind on is you go after those things. And the reason why is because there's not a lot of people who are doing that.
They're not thinking that big.
No. So, though there's not a lot of people that are doing that. So, there's less competition because there's nobody thinking that big. So,
not our age.
Yeah.
There are people thinking that big our age, but there's not just a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right? And think big, go for it. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Put in the time and effort, and you know what? One day, I'm not saying what we're working on is and going to come to fruition. Yeah. But right now we're going through the exercise, and right now we're realizing, hey, you know what? We have built something special here. We've had multiple people tell us that. And that's not for us bragging on ourselves, but it kind of gives you always wonder if your calculations are right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you always wonder if you're doing the right thing. And it's kind of nice walking in here and people are like, hey, you're doing the right thing. Let's take this to the next level. I'm like always flying to different cities, and I see some brands that we compete with on a local level here in Tulsa. Mm-hmm. And now my mindset is, why can't I fly in Atlanta or Denver or Dallas or Springfield or whatever city it may be and see my brand? Why can't I see our brand on that site in those cities?
And the reality is you can.
Why can't On Call be a name brand?
Even somebody from humble beginnings like we were, that are just living the American dream, can potentially have that much impact, right? So, and that's the beauty, man. And that's the American dream.
It's a reality.
Yeah.
And we're going to go at it. And we're going to try it. And if it doesn't work out, we'll probably have a podcast on it. We'll probably chase it from chasing millions to chasing thousands.
Yeah.
To recovery.
I have a new podcast called Starting Over.
It's you and I crying.
Yeah. I don't know what to say, but
yeah. We won't probably be sitting here.
No, we wouldn't have this nice of a backdrop or whatever, but so
maybe somebody will give us some free steak.
Yep. But thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and look forward to our next couple episodes. We got some people coming on and share some real cool stories and
give us some feedback.
So thank you for watching. Chasing millions.
That's right.